Hello, my name is Angel, and before we start, I'd like to let you know where you can find Spin on Rock. We are on all podcast platforms as well as YouTube, so make sure you check us out on all of those. Make sure you like and subscribe on YouTube and give us those 5 stars on podcast platforms. We are also on TikTok and Twitter, so make sure you follow so you can get clips and episode updates. We release every Monday, so make sure you tune in so you never miss. Hello, and welcome back to Spin the Rock. My name is Angel, your host, and with me today is
Eugene?
And Vaughn.
no Tyler today, but no big deal because I'll be honest, I don't know about you guys, but where's the excitement for the second half of the season? They used it all up in the first half. It's been kind of boring lately.
It's so dry. It's so dry. Literally the only thing they're talking about is Dylan Brooks.
Yeah.
Like, it's bad.
I think more than anything, it's been like frustrating and boring just because like you got teams who should be winning games. Like my team, the Celtics, we be losing to like the Rockets. Like, no, that's not what's supposed to happen this time of year. So it's kind of
Y'all
like
clinched
no
though,
man's
so that's
land.
good.
Right.
All right, we have some news for you guys. It's not all that boring because we do have some news. Starting off with Jaw is supposed to return this week, supposedly. How do y'all feel about that?
I mean,
The Kings, man, they want that second spot, and
Right.
Ja secured it.
I was like, they haven't dropped, super far out from where they have been. So, I mean, let's hope it doesn't affect anything. Their record gets worse with him coming back. I don't really see that, but we'll see because it changes a lot too in the lineup as well.
Y'all think he's gonna go off his first game back?
No. No.
God damn.
Well, okay. What do you mean, like, go off? Like, what in terms of like is he gonna drop 40?
No, I mean like maybe like a strong 30, like a flashy dunk here and there.
Well, it depends who he goes against too. Like, if he goes against like the Pistons, so who's he going against?
Let's see. They don't play again until Monday. They'll play Monday, but I don't think he'll be back Monday. So they won't play again until Wednesday, I'm pretty sure. Which will they'll be against the Rockets.
I don't know. They're hot, man.
I was about to
They're on a
say
3-game win streak.
they might not be in contention for nothing, but they've been hooping lately. I mean, we'll
I think
see.
they're also in
I'll give
Memphis.
them at least 20. At least 20, 25. We'll see about 30.
I'm trying to think like if Ja would come back and he had other things on his mind, like wow, like he's got like the suspension and like he's had to do all this like counseling. He had to go to Florida for counseling, and
Right.
maybe he'll be distracted. I don't know if he'll be going off like that.
Yeah.
I'll say he's got one game to like get back to normal, and then from then on, it's business.
Gotcha. Yeah, I can kind of see that. The only reason why I asked is I'm pretty sure they're in Memphis both tomorrow and Wednesday, so maybe. But who knows? That interview with Jalen Rose might have taken some time out of him getting back into shape. So
Well, I'm just thinking back to like the Kyrie stuff and like
Yeah.
how he was suspended. Like the game, like he had to do all those interviews that he didn't want to do. He dropped only like 4 points, which is crazy for a Kyrie.
yeah.
Mhm.
Maybe same type deal for Ja.
All right. Some actually really, really depressing news. Lonzo Ball might be out for next season as well because they think they found what's wrong with him, so he's gonna have to have another surgery. Let's start off with the Lonzo Ball before we get into my other topic with this. So, how y'all feel about that piece of news?
I wish Tyler was here, bro. It's really tough because, like, so I was reading like the thread of tweets when I think it was Shams tweeting, and so he said originally that he would be out for the remainder of this season. So I was like, okay, whatever. And then most, if not all, of the next season. So then my jaw kind of dropped, and I was like, how and why is that the case?
Mm.
And then he came back and said it was his it's going to be his third surgery in the past like year and a half on his knee, which is not good. And then they said it was something with his bone, like some like cartilage problem. So I don't know. It's not looking too hot though for him, bro.
Yeah.
I'm kind of sad.
I'm like no medical expert, obviously, but like, didn't Brandon Roy have knee issues too? And that kind of like sent his career down. Yeah, that's kind of worrying. I've never really thought of Lonzo as like an athletic player, but it kind of hinders his ceiling if he can come back as an NBA player, because you don't have 3 knee surgeries and then be better.
Derrick Rose,
So
like
right. So you hope like he can go back to what he used to be, at least the defender. The playmaking doesn't go away, but hopefully he doesn't lose a step in speed or anything regarding like his jump. Because the reports all year long is he couldn't even walk up the stairs. So
Yeah.
it will look, if he can get back on the court, that's just a win in itself.
Yeah, it also says because after the first injury, he reinvented himself and he became that player everyone thought he was, like a different type, maybe not the same exact player, but he was just as good as everyone thought he would be in the first place, just with different skill sets. So it's like kind of sad. It's like, oh, Lonzo Ball is here now. Like he's finally on a team that appreciates him. He's getting the stats that we thought he would, and then he gets this other injury that has sidelined him for 2 years in a row now. Which leads me to my next point. Bulls point guards. Are they cursed? Are the Bulls cursed to never have a point guard? Like, they haven't had one, a healthy point guard, or two, a good point guard in years.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't thinking that was going to be the case, but looking at how Lonzo's coming out, I'll give it one more guard. If one more good guard comes in, fire, great player, could potentially carry the team, and then gets hurt, knee, or just anything, to be honest, then I'll probably say it's the Bulls' curse. But it's starting to ruminate right now.
Yeah.
Right. Like if they don't have Lonzo, their only other point guard since they waived Dragic is just Desomu, and he's a rookie. I guess Kobe White, but he played more shooting guard than point guard. So they're in no man's land, man. Like, I don't know what's gonna happen in that team.
They're basically a better version of the Magic right now. Barely.
Well, they should trade for one of those million guards they got, man.
True. End the curse. All right. Moving on. Edwards, Ant is day to day. Do you see any problems with that for Minnesota, or you think Minnesota's kind of already in like a weird spot?
Well, Minnesota definitely needs Anthony Edwards back. I think Timberwolves are sitting at 7. They're looking at playing. They could climb to 6. It's possible because the Warriors don't look good right now. And they could sink the Mavericks. They've been up and down 6 and 7 too. So it would not be in their best interest to be in that play-in tournament. That's a team like everyone looks at and like that could be an easy knockout for whoever faces the Timberwolves.
Yeah.
So with Anthony Edwards out, hopefully this isn't like a rush job back, because Ant's an athletic player. He needs to be at 100%. So if he comes back like 50%, that might not be good for playoffs. Might just re-aggravate injury.
Especially with a sprained ankle, because it's like if you play on a sprained ankle, you can re-sprain it. Or, if it's not 100%, you can re-sprain it. So, yeah, I'm kind of in Vaughn's boat. I mean, the West is still wide open between, let me see real quick, between the 5 seed all the way down to the 12 seed. Basically, all of those teams are within a game or a game and a half of each other. So it's really anyone's ball game. And it's like they've been without Cat for a while now. So
Mm.
every game they need to win. They need to win more than lose right now. But yeah, hopefully he's not out long.
For sure, for sure. Yeah, I was gonna say, even though the Warriors can't win a game on the road, or the Jazz and OKC are young, I would not want to be in the West Plains right now. Like you can especially because if the Lakers or the Pelicans get in there, like I do not want to be in the West Plains at all.
Right.
So it's
Scary
just,
side on the West, bro.
yeah, it's just for sure. If I'm Minnesota, I'm trying to get out of that playing spot. All right, moving on. It is March Madness. I think we're all. When does the Sweet 16 start?
The 28. No, let me check.
While Eugene's doing that, yes, we are close. More and more teams are getting thinned out. A lot of upsets. I saw someone block a game-winning shot. I don't know what the school it was, but it was insane. Only 2 1-seeds are left.
I was
Purdue,
right. It's the 18th. It's
the
March
18th.
18th. Yeah.
So it started already. Okay.
Am I bugging?
If it's the 18th, it started already.
Oh, never mind. Sorry. The 23rd.
The 23rd. But yeah, insane. Only 2 1-seeds are left. Purdue is out, and so is Kansas. How are y'all watching March Madness? Are y'all tuned in?
I tune in at the wrong times, man. Wrong games, wrong times. I'm either catching fourth quarter blowouts or the beginning of what will become a good game. It's so frustrating.
I watched pretty much all of the first round. And yesterday, I haven't watched any games today because they're kind of all boring. But yeah, I watched that Furman upset against Virginia. Crazy game. I watched I wish I watched Princeton. Me and my roommate were talking about it. He was like, I want Princeton to win. And then they ended up winning first round and second round. So that's pretty exciting. I kind of want to see how far they go. I've watched like a couple other upsets, but yeah, it's been pretty good so far.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you. So you have a school. Is that the school you're rooting for completely, or who are you guys mostly rooting for?
I mean, I'm rooting for my school, but we play in Bama, so it's looking like it's right. I ain't gonna lie.
I had Houston going all the way. I really don't want to see Bama win just because they've been the favorite the whole time. You know, like even like halfway through the school year, they were looking good. So I need someone to knock out Bama, please. I
would also like to see Houston win, but I really do think Bama's gonna win. It's just they're too hot, you know, like regular season, even amidst the whole, you know, controversy, you know what I'm saying?
So,
insane. Yeah, I'm not going for anyone. I just like watching the clips. I just like watching the clips and the upsets. I went out to eat on Friday and they had 4 different games playing at the same time. I was like, God damn.
That's
so I'm kind of
bro.
So I was kind of like, I don't know who I was rooting for, but I did in person. I watched the whole game of Purdue losing.
Really?
That was insane. Yeah, because that was one of the games playing in the restaurant.
That's crazy.
So I kind of got lucky.
I wanted to watch that game so bad.
It was insane. It was an insane game. So yeah, that's our thoughts on March Madness. We'll next week we'll have another update about it. But getting into our topic, if you're on social media or just basketball Twitter in general, you have seen the bar graph where it says production, talent, recognition at different levels, and that's what we're going to be talking about. So we have 4 levels that we thought would be the most interesting for our topic today. We're starting off with just all around mid, not necessarily a bad player, not necessarily a great player, but just like someone you wouldn't hate to be on your team. Starting off with Vaughn, who is your just mid all around?
Okay, so the way we're gauging this is by their production, their talent, and their recognition. And I think a guy who's got just middle of the road everything there is Malik Beasley. You know, decent role
Oh,
player. You know, a shooter. He can get you some production. Talent. You know, he's no Giannis, right? He's no LeBron out here. But as a role player, he's pretty solid. Just not like extraordinary in any category. Not terrible in any way either.
hmm.
And then as far as recognition go, I think the Lakers are pretty satisfied with him. You know, like they needed shooters, and he fills exactly what they needed. So
Mhm. That's a
that's
great
That's a
why I
pick.
good
got.
one. That's a
Yeah.
good one. This is one of the ones I struggled with the most. So that was a great pick. Who do you have, Eugene?
Okay, so for mine, he's been, a little journeyman. He's been in the league for a good amount of time now. I got Kyle Anderson.
Oh,
That's
Like
another
slow
good.
mo. He plays at
Yeah.
his own pace. That's why they call him slow mo. Production wise, he gets the job done. He's not an all around scorer. He's not an all around passer, rebounder. He just does a little bit of everything. The talent. He's probably over his prime right now, but it's still there. Like he can still generate whatever he needs to generate. He can still fulfill his role on whatever the team needs. You know what I'm saying? And the recognition, I feel like, you know, every NBA fan knows him. Every organization knows him. He's probably been on almost every organization, and it's like people don't want to play against him because he plays the way he plays. But then if you're playing with him, he's enjoyable to play with because it's like almost nobody knows how to guard him. You know what I'm saying? So I got Kyle Anderson.
Yeah, that's a damn. Mine seems weak compared to y'all's. Those were both really good. I have Bobby Portis. Was on that Bucks winning team. A decent
mm,
center to have. He doesn't do anything outstanding. He doesn't do like Embiid or Jokic center talent, but he is
Mhm.
like better than like, let's be honest, half of the league centers. So I got Bobby Portis. He also gets the job done, like you guys said about your players. He gets the rebounds. He gets the putbacks. So I put down Bobby Portis.
That's interesting because I feel like he's just above mid only because of that finals little run he had. Or maybe
I,
was it not finals, conference finals, whenever he popped off.
I think it was just all around. He did well in that
It's just through
playoffs.
the playoffs.
Yeah.
mm.
The only reason why I have him at mid everything is because there are some teams where he didn't really do that well on.
Mm.
So like I feel like he's one of those players who who shines on like teams like the Bucks
Just
where
like
he does
certain
y-
teams,
yeah.
certain systems. Yeah, I see what you're saying.
He kind of did the dirty work for them.
Mm.
Don't get me wrong, Giannis gets his stats, but like it takes a load off. You can chuck up a three from Drew or Chris Middleton, and Bobby Portis will get that rebound for them if they miss. So like, I just think even though he wasn't a crucial aspect on the Bucks, he
Mm.
was a very solid role player for them.
Right. I can see that now. Yeah, mid everything.
All right.
Yeah, I think just one thing is like the Bucks probably consider him like their six man. So that's
Yeah.
something to add on. So he fills in those gaps pretty well.
Yeah, for sure. I really like our mid everything. That was a good start. all all guys you would pick up on NBA my team. Like if they
Facts.
if they were free, I would sign them up. All right. Moving on. We have high production, mid talent, low recognition. Who do y'all let's start it off with Eugene. Who do you have?
Okay, so for me, I think this was my hardest one.
Oh, I got that backwards by the way. I meant high production, mid talent, low recognition. Sorry, continue.
No, you're good. You're good. So I've been following this guy since his Tennessee days. He's one of my, I'm not gonna say one of my favorite players, but I do enjoy watching him play. He was in the 3-point contest, so he has some recognition, but I still feel like he's on the low side. He's kind of an underrated player. I got Desmond Bane.
Damn, that's a good one.
You know, so production wise, I guess since he was in the 3-point contest, he was their best 3-point shooter. So obviously he's doing something on the Grizzlies. He's also a very good defensive player. It might not show up on the stat sheet, but he's a hustle guy, you know. And then talent, he's still young. He spent like 2-3 seasons in the league now. Still developing his craft. I can see him getting better, obviously. But yeah, I think that's a pretty good pick for Desmond Bane.
No, that's a great pick. I'm next. I went with one, you know, solid on every team he's been, very important on every team. I went Norman Powell. You know,
Okay.
That's probably like the same pick, but Norman is just like a more
Older.
experienced Desmond Bane.
Yeah, he's older. You know, low recognition because only, let's be honest, unless he played for your team, you probably don't know who Norman Powell is. Like, but at the same time is helping out the Clippers a lot, helped out the Raptors a lot. But at the same time, he doesn't do anything that blows you away. Like, he doesn't like pull out some sick crossover 3-point step back. Like, no, he's just doing what needs to be done. So I said Norman Powell, soon to return to the Clippers.
Oh, is he out?
Yeah, he's been injured. I only know that because a Clippers fan commented that on our TikTok.
Nice.
Go follow that.
Yeah, facts. Spin the rock.
All right. So mine isn't an NBA champion like Norman Powell, okay? But he's a guy who gets recognition mostly for the teams he played for, and it's only been Spurs and Celtics so far, and that's Derek White. So as far as production goes, he's like the 6th, 7th, 8th option on a team, and he's out here averaging 12 points a game. And the Spurs averaging about 15 a game, 5 assists. So where he is now on the roster, it's great production you're getting from him. As far as talent goes, he's kind of middling. You know, he came into the league to the Spurs mid to late first rounder, I think, mostly as a defensive guard. And then only as, you know, time progressed, he added to his skill set. And now on the Celtics, he's a shooter. He's actually a really good shot blocker for a guard as well. And as far as recognition goes, Derek White's not like a guy you see getting highlight plays, you know. He's not out here. He's not out here like front page ESPN news type deal. But he's a great rotational piece wherever he goes.
I think
like
that
Derek
was
White.
I think that was the deepest cut out of all of the low recognition guys, like between Desmond Bane and Norman Powell. That was the deepest one.
Right.
Like
people would least likely know Derek White.
yeah.
Now, Derek White, though, I wish he had more recognition, though, you know, because he's a good player, you know. Even on the Spurs, he's capable of dropping 20, even 30, maybe not per game, but he's done it in the past. Like, I just wish he had more recognition.
No, that's facts. I definitely agree with that. It's especially because he doesn't like necessarily pop off, but at the same time, like when he's on a team, it's usually when they're usually doing well. I think this is the first time where he's been on a team that's struggling, as far as I know. So it's like it's not like he's necessarily always on a bad team. So it is kind of wild how he doesn't have that much recognition.
It's probably just like Vaughn said. It's just because he's like the 8th option. If he was probably like top, I guess like 5, and that includes like a star player being hurt, then he'd probably have, you know, at least mid recognition. But yeah, he definitely deserves more.
All right. Wow, we've been getting some bangers. I wish Tyler was here so I could hear what he had to add, because these have been bangers so far. All right. Next up, low production high talent and high recognition. This one is the one I struggled with personally as well. Norman Powell was the only one I was for sure like, that's a banger. This one, you could argue otherwise, but I said Bull Bull. Even though he did have that little span where he was going off, he's kind of came back down to earth. Right now, he's only averaging like 9 points, like every once in a while. I think yesterday he only dropped like 5, and the game before that he had 17. So it's like,
which is very consistent.
Yeah, but like he's good. Like that's the thing about Bull Bull. Everyone knows Bull Bull. Like, like I feel like you ask an NBA fan, do you know Bull Bull? They'll say yes.
Right.
And like, if you ask them, is he good? They will say yes, because he shows that he has insane talent and skill, but it's just not translating.
I mean, I can't argue with that.
The part I struggled with on this category is low production but high recognition. But like Bull Bull, like every NBA fan knows Bull Bull, right? Right. The 7-footer who can shoot. So that's actually a really good pick.
Thank you. Here you go, Vaughn.
Okay, so mine I might have to argue for, but for low production, high talent, high recognition, I got Jalen Green.
I knew it. I knew it.
This man, he'll give you 20 on 5 of 20 shooting. This man doesn't play defense. He doesn't know how to pass the ball sometimes, but he can get you 20, 30 points.
This is what spinning the wheel does for our podcast, because Vaughn legitimately sounds like a frustrated Rockets fan. like, if you had no idea who Vaughn was, you would have no idea that he was a Celtics fan with the way he just talked about Jalen Green.
Also can't argue that.
That's such a good one.
Like, they're both, super streaky. It's like they could pop off and they could not,
Yeah.
I can't argue with either of those.
Also, two people who had so much hype when they got drafted. Like both had like so much hype and so much like to live up to, and both have just not lived up to it whatsoever. Which I know there's some Jalen Green fans out there who are probably pissed off at us for saying that hasn't lived up to the hype. But let's be honest. If you watch the full game of Jalen Green playing, he does not live up to the hype.
Even in the dunk contest,
yeah.
we were envisioning something like a grand spectacle, and he missed every dunk. So it was, it hasn't been that great. Hopefully, I really do hope though that it gets better for that entire organization. Or at least just, Jalen Green, Christopher, and Jabari,
Yeah.
Because I would like to see them thrive in the league.
They gotta start drafting more people that aren't ISO scorers, and things will turn around.
More rebounders. All right. So I'm a player hater. Y'all know me. Won a chip last year. I got James Wiseman.
Yeah. Why does all of our picks make sense?
We're so on the dot so far.
I as soon as I saw that we picked this one, I was like, James Wiseman. There's no doubt about it. Like, plain and simple. There's nothing to be said. There's nothing to be said.
I mean,
he played like 20 games last year.
Isn't
he also in the G League now?
Is he?
Well, he's on the Pistons. He does start for the Pistons, but like he is a guy who was drafted high and then won a championship. They need a center. The Warriors need a center, and they trade him away. So that's something like a big highlight on him right now, or low light.
Right. Yeah. Like every, drafted top 3, and then got hurt. So it was like, okay, whatever. But then was out half the season, or the first half of the season. Played some games, in that first half. Was hurt the rest of the season through the playoffs. Played some games in those the second half of that season, he's just not good, bro. He's just James Wiseman is not good. Don't let the Warrior fans fool you, bro. Or I guess now the Piston fans. He's not good.
I remember too. I don't know if it was on the podcast or just conversations, but I remember saying like, I can't wait to finally see him play. And now how much
he barely did. Like
that's real.
The Pistons love picking up other people's. I don't want to say garbage, but first Marvin Bagley, then James Wiseman. It's like they're discarded players. They're all going to Pistons.
They have no idea what they're doing. Like,
man, if you've been watching the show for a long time, all of our picks make so much sense. The Nuggets fan said Bol. The one who spun Rockets said Jalen Green, and this isn't the first time Eugene has brought up how disappointed James Wiseman is. Like Eugene has brought James Wiseman up a lot of times. I do have a question because this one's all mostly young players. Who do you think is the first to up their production out of these three?
What do you mean? What do you mean?
Out of like the three we said, who's the first to actually put the talent and recognition towards like actually producing good numbers?
Bol.
Yeah.
It took him a second. But also, I don't think he might be in the right system with the Magic, but it's the Magic. So it's like you can only do so much. But I think in the right system, he could actually like do something.
Yeah.
I want to say Jalen Green only because the Rockets have so much faith in him. He always gets the ball between him and Kevin Porter Jr. It's always them handling the ball. So I think if anyone's going to iron out their mistakes in their game, it may be Jalen Green just because of opportunity, whereas Bol, sometimes he comes off the bench, sometimes he's starting, sometimes they're passing to him, sometimes they're not. So just by the fact that Jalen Green has all this opportunity is why I'd say him.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you. I also think Jalen Green. I would say Bol, but there's has been reports that have came out, and you can't trust everything you read, but it can't be a coincidence that a lot of reports that came out that he doesn't want to change or put that work in. That was like one of the reasons why the Nuggets cut him. Apparently, is that Bol isn't really like a hard worker. I guess I know. Like I said, those are just the reports that came out. It could be wrong, but like I feel like Jalen Green. I feel like he can figure it out, especially because he is on the Rockets. So there is no vet or any other player that could take that away from Jalen Green. The fact that he gets so many touches, no one's gonna take that away from Jalen Green right now. So that's why I say Jalen Green.
The only reason I didn't, because I actually did want to say him, but the only reason I didn't was because if he ever leaves the Rockets, I feel like he's gonna have a huge ego due to what you just said. Like he's the main option on that team. So it's like, later down the line when he gets better, there might be another, someone better than Jalen Green on that team. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So I feel like ego would play a role, but I don't know. I don't know him personally, but
Yeah, I know that is a good point. And same thing with Bol. You could argue that Bol can find a work ethic. We've seen it happen with Julius Randle, where one day he just was buff as shit out of nowhere. So like, who knows? Like Bol could find a work ethic. So that's the thing about young players is that you can't really count them out.
Right.
All right, moving on. High production, high talent, low recognition. Starting off with you, Vaughn.
This one is kind of a stretch, but I got Bam Adebayo on here because he's always giving you 100% on the defensive end. Okay, there's a production. He's having his best scoring year this year. Production. Talent, he's like a 6'10", high-flying center, he's obviously got the defensive know-how, whereas some centers don't. Like Hassan Whiteside, I feel like that man tricked people for a while thinking he was a good defensive center. And then, because I think when Bam was drafted, Hassan was starting over him, and then slowly the Heat finally realized, oh, we gotta invest in Bam. And so I think that's where the low recognition is. When he came into the league, he was among Donovan Mitchell, Jason Tatum, De'Aaron Fox, and he wasn't really up there among those names coming in. And it was only as I think Dwayne Wade came back, and then so he had some mentorship there, and then Jimmy Butler came, and then that's when he kind of finally elevated himself to a center that any team would want.
Mhm. I mean, you could argue that he's still not up there with De'Aaron Fox and Donovan Mitchell. Like when you talk about that draft class, like Bam Adebayo is like not a name that comes up in like the first round of conversation. So
Right.
I can definitely see the low recognition part.
Another thing is he's consistent defensively every year, and it seems like he never really reaches top 3 in defensive player of the year talks. Even this year, I think probably because the Heat are like 6-7 seed, he still won't get it this year, even though he is playing very good interior defense and hold his own on the perimeter too. So it's just kind of, is he ever going to win that just because he's on the Heat? Does he have to leave to get that kind of recognition? So I think that plays into it.
Which is wild too, because it's like, he's not a bad defensive player. Like he gets blocks. It's just like, we got AD and Giannis and Joel.
Right.
So it's like it's just better defensive players out there. But hopefully he wins a DPOY at some point. That would be cool to see. I was gonna say one player, but I got another one. Plays on this team right behind me. I think he should be Rookie of the Year. Benedict Mathurin. Going full bias on this one. Okay, so my first pick was actually Cade Cunningham. He's out for the season, but when he was playing, he was carrying the entire team on his back. He's putting up crazy numbers. So that's why I was gonna say Cade, but then I'm like, well, he's out for the season, so that might not be fair. So I'm saying Benedict Mathurin, because he's already passed. I can't even think of the record anymore, but he's already passed like some of these rookie records that have stood for 20 plus years. He came into the Pacers, just kind of with that mama mentality, because you don't see rookies outside of probably like the top 10 dropping 16 points a game, which he's doing right now. Now, given he's on the Pacers, so he has room to do that. He's got Tyrese playing the point guard, make him. I'm still riding the Benedict train. I feel like he should be Rookie of the Year. That boy in Orlando, whatever. But that's my pick. I feel like his production is pretty high and will only get higher. His talent, we've already seen his talent. It's there and it's still growing. And then low recognition is just, not a lot of people know him. So, but they will. They will remember that name.
Wow, that's a good one. I think the rookie race, just like the NBA just posted the rookie race, and he wasn't even top 3.
That's what I'm saying, bro.
It was like Paolo, Jalen Williams, and the guy on the Jazz, the white guy.
Walker Kessler.
Walker. Yeah. It was like those 3. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying those 2, the other 2 are bad, but like, come on.
They not doing what Benedict doing. Like,
yeah, like it's kind of wild. Of course, I don't think Paolo has lost a one spot all season. So
no,
it's kind of
because he's top pick in the draft.
Yeah.
It's kind of hard to lose unless you're out for the season, and even then, like LaMelo won it over Ant, so
yeah.
He's probably gonna be stuck with that low recognition label for a while just because he's on the Pacers. Like, even if they do good, he's probably not gonna get like
Yeah.
the recognition he does deserve.
Right, because it's still, we still got Tyrese, Buddy, and Miles Turner. So, that's three, big time names ahead of him.
And even then, those big time names get slept on too. Like people were saying Tyrese was an all-star. Miles Turner's forgetting as a good center all the time.
Right.
So it's like
you could literally throw any of those players in this section,
No facts.
In this tier right here.
I think like Paul George was the last Pacer to be like a superstar.
Mm.
So and that was a while ago. So it's hard. I think mine is the most stretchiest of the stretches. I said DeMar DeRozan. I know you could say that he gets recognized, but raise your hand if you knew DeMar DeRozan scored 49 2 days ago.
Okay, the only reason I saw that was because it was Instagram. That was the only reason.
Exactly, bro. Exactly. And he did it on 60% shooting.
Really?
Not a chirp. Even in that Instagram post, the comments was about how Embiid should be MVP. I saw one comment about DeMar DeRozan, and it said DeMar DeRozan's the best Bull ever. So that's already thrown out the window. I just feel like you could argue that he is recognized, but at the same time, ever since he left Toronto, he's been slept on so hard.
If this was mid recognition, I'd agree with you. But DeMar DeRozan is too recognizable of a name, I think. Ever since Raptors days. I see what you mean, though.
You did give the disclaimer, so
yeah, I did say the stretchiest of the stretches.
So I feel like he's just too recognizable of a name.
Yeah,
because I guess since the Raptors, he's been kind of on the wayward side, on the Spurs, and there's just the Bulls after the Spurs, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, there's just on the Spurs, he just kind of had a down side of his career. But I feel like he should be at least mid recognizable.
Yeah. No,
but I do see what you're saying.
I do have a backup because I kind of saw this coming. He kind of did it to himself by bag chasing. Terry Rozier. Terry Rozier.
That's true. That's true.
I'll agree with that.
Scary Terry. I mean, when he was on the Boston, everyone knew his name, but you're on the Charlotte Hornets. A guy who's injured half of the season is a bigger name than him. So it's kind of just sad, to be honest, more than anything else. But that was my backup because I kind of did see the DeMar DeRozan one. I like I said, it was a pretty big stretch.
Mm-hmm.
All right. My phone died, so I have no idea what time we're at. Let's just throw in one more because I just want to just a real quick question between Bam Adebayo and Benedict Mathurin, because I can't say DeMar DeRozan. Who do you see getting that recognition first?
I think it's got to be Bam if he ever gets that Defensive Player of the Year, because then he's cemented in NBA history. But Benedict, he's real young. You don't know how high he goes.
Mm-hmm.
He could be the next Paul George.
How high and how fast? Yeah.
I
feel like I feel like it would be Bam, just because he's got way more time in the league. He's been in the finals. People forget about that. And actually did, well, comparingly to his teammates, other than Jimmy Butler. But I feel like it would still be Bam, even though he gets overshadowed by literally every other center in the league. I think, recognition also comes with more time. So just give them both more time and they'll definitely have more recognition.
Yeah, I kind of agree with both of you. If Benedict was on any other team, I would say Benedict. But because he's on Indiana, he has to get to that Paul George level pretty quickly to get recognized before Bam.
Right.
So, which I'm not saying it is impossible, but I kind of just don't see that happening.
And even if he gets there, that's like a Paul George on or with a team with, a straight up shooter, a floor general basically. And I mean, Miles Turner, he can shot block, but he can also put the ball in the basket. So he's like a two-way center,
Yeah.
So I mean, I don't know how he would do it, but if he's able to pull it off, that would be very interesting to see.
No, that is a good point, because when Paul George is on the Pacers, woo,
it was George Hill, floor general George Hill, and shot blocking Roy Hibbert. So
that was a good point.
Right.
All right. I think we have time to just say who's in high everything. Just like when you think production, talent, recognition, who do you think of? Just like basically, who's the superstar you think of first?
Like Giannis, LeBron, Steph, the little superstars of the league. Like
Luka.
I didn't want to do. Yeah, basically.
I think Luka would honestly be the top person on that tier, like even above LeBron and Curry and maybe even Giannis. I ain't even gonna lie.
Wild.
Because you gotta think about it. Like he's doing everything. Like he's putting up 50-point triple doubles and still losing. like it's doing this bad.
This is day one stuff. Like Giannis had to get there. Like Giannis was skinny, he had to put on weight. He had to like actually get a skill set where Luka was like NBA's too easy.
He was bred
which is wild because Steph and Giannis were relatively unknown the rookie season, whereas Luka was getting talked about before he was even drafted.
When he was playing for Barcelona.
Yeah, so it's like out of all the people we mentioned just now, LeBron was the only person that out of the few people we mentioned who are on that level who was getting talked before they were even drafted.
Right.
So yeah, Luka, that's a good point. Luka is pretty up there. I can't imagine once LeBron and Curry retire how Luka's gonna be marketed. That's gonna be kind of insane.
That's gonna be wild. That's gonna be the league is not even gonna be from America. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Or the face of the league. That's gonna
true.
Be wild.
Because if you think about it, Giannis, Jokic, Embiid, Luka, not a single one born in America. Not a single one was born in this continent. So it is kind of insane to think about.
Right.
All right. I think that's what we're going to call it. Might be a short episode. I honestly don't know. My phone died. So I have no idea what the time is on this. Pretty good episode. We had some bangers. We had some. I'm really happy with all our answers because those were fire. If you're watching on YouTube, if you're watching on YouTube, make sure you like and subscribe. We are on all podcast platforms, so make sure you give us 5 stars on those. Check us out on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok at Spin the Rock. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you again next week.
Yes, sir.
Baby, hop in the rocket, yeah, we gonna blast off. I just bought my own, I can't tell you why they mad, dog. I've been needing